the arrival onto the scene of Joe Andreessen, a UB product, who was a cool story at the beginning of camp. He's a tryout player that made the team, and that's always neat to see. And then it was so cool that he got to play on Buffalo Bills Stadium last week against the Bears, and what a cool moment. And then Matt Milano goes down, and the Bills hold out Terrell Bernard, and Nicholas Morrow and Balin Spector still can't get on the field. And it's been a while for those guys. And all of a sudden you're looking up, and Ed Oliver's out there, Daquan Jones is out there, Greg Rousseau's out there, Benford and Rasul Douglas are out there, Dorian Williams, who we expect to replace Matt Milano's out there. But right next to Dorian Williams is, who's that guy? Number 44, Joe Andreessen. What are we doing? What are we? Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, did they trade for Tyler Matakevich before the game started? Because he's a Steeler. I saw him shaking hands with Josh Allen before the game. And he played. And Luka, I have, outside of it being the local school, I have no affiliation with UB. I generally tend to roll my eyes at these feel-good stories. He absolutely popped in ways against first teamers. When first teamers were out there for both teams, he did not look like a fish out of water. At times, small sample size, looked like the best player on the field when the ones were out there. There was a play in the open field where he got Justin Fields to the ground, much easier said than done. He absolutely shot through a gap and blew up a third down play to force a punt. There was one play where there was, I believe, a screen to his side, and he held the block to stay in the play to affect the play, shed the block, and then got the ball carrier to the ground. It was P. Ryan, I believe. Just every time you saw him within a play, he was affecting the play in a positive way. And it's not just like, oh, he had 12 tackles, that's great. Like, no, like tangibly watching him make impact plays, I start adding it all up and I'm like, okay, he started this game. Balin Spector has not been healthy for what feels like weeks. Does Nicholas Morrow still play for this team? Because I haven't seen him in weeks. Matt Milano's out for the year. I think Joe Andreessen's making this team, Luka.
After watching that game, it's hard to argue. And I will say, I watched the entirety of the game. And if there was one thing I came away from, well, there's a couple things I came away from the game overall. And the highlight, the thing I did, I mean, I kept joking. I audibly kept saying, even though there was no one to listen to me, because it's not like I was watching, I didn't get together with people to watch a preseason.
You didn't have a watch party?
No. I kept going. It's weird to see a number 44 in a Bills uniform not just be an overpaid special teamer and make plays at the position needed. It's very strange because for years it was Tyler Matakevich wearing that uniform, wearing that number, and it was just like, he's a really good special teamer, yay. And then preseason you would see clips and you're like, yeah, he's not a linebacker. Like he can't play that position very well, but yeah, Andreessen was doing a great job. He popped is exactly the right word to describe it, because anytime a meaningful play happened, he was all over it. He was involved. He was there. And the tandem between him and Dorian, I don't even want to take it away from Dorian, but Dorian should be, of course, less of a surprise. He's a third-round pick. He had a year to develop now. Hopefully the trajectory of his career is similar and shared to like Terrell Bernard, where now we're going to see a big, pop out of him, because it feels like we need it. But Andreessen, I do believe, as crazy as it sounds from someone that was signed late in the offseason, right before training camp as a tryout, appears to be, we'll say, 2 feet in the door at this moment. The door's still open. There is still the ability to be cut. But there is a realistic path, it feels like now, if they trust him to play in that position at that moment in time with the surrounding cast that he had, and he actually took that opportunity and showcased what he could be like in that situation. What is it to say to McDermott? I mean, all you have to say is, okay, if that situation happens in meaningful games, if we find ourselves in a predicament where Terrell Bernard, let's say it's not a serious injury, but let's say he's out for the remainder of the game and you need to rely on someone to fill that role, and you don't have good old AJ Klein on your roster to fill that position for you. Who else do you want? You now have tape of someone, being Joe Andreessen of all people, that proved to you he can be effective. And that's all you ask for out of a depth player. Again, you don't need them to be a world beater. You don't need them to win you games. You need them to be effective and minimize the feeling of a hole being left there by whoever the intended starter not being in the situation there anymore. Like, you need a guy that can just not be a problem. And he sure didn't look like a problem. He actually looked like a solution a lot of times. Like you said, the biggest one to me was when he essentially blew up a Justin Fields situation completely. It was him. I want to say Dorian was still in at that time, and they just completely wrecked something. Now, I will also add on this, I believe it was also on a QB read option where, clear as day, Fields wanted no part of handing that ball off. But the play that I look at is that one where he just did his job, did it well, and hunted down Justin Fields, who's regarded as one of the best running quarterbacks in this league for good reason. It's just like, yeah, it's awesome. This guy played, I think it was 4 years at Bryan, an FCS school, has his senior or his graduate season at UB. It's like, it's not like he's playing big time college football, comes in on a late offseason tryout. And boy, this is the definition of taking advantage of a situation. And I know sometimes you like to, I like to have some hot takes out there. You like to go out on a limb sometimes. I don't believe this is one of those times, Josh. I think you saying that, there's others out there, of course, in the Bills fandom world out there that see it. It's the path to the roster for Andreessen is, or Andreessen. I guess we're gonna have to start really learning how to say that one quick and easy, because he could be on the 53 when all said and done.
I added his name to my dictionary on my phone because it's so hard to just naturally put the two E's and the two S's next to each other.
Yeah.
But now my phone autocorrects it to the correct one. So when I'm tweeting live, just, pro tip. So maybe you guys have seen this. I've been doing, from our Bills chat account, 53-man roster projections early in the week. And I'm going to have another one this week. I'm going to have Andreessen on the roster. If you're listening to this, you get to get a brief peek at that. But I would say that the linebackers that I think are going, and we're going to talk about the downstream effect of the Milano injury in a little bit, but Terrell Bernard, obviously, Dorian Williams, obviously. And then after that, I do think Deion Jones has made his way onto this roster. If for no other reason, Luka, he played well last year. He's been healthy throughout all of camp. He's a veteran presence, and he's not that far removed from being a $50 million linebacker in this league. I think he's good depth. He's a good athlete. And he's like a good insurance card for if Dorian Williams can't handle the full on Matt Milano role, somebody to split that time with him. And I look at someone like Balin Spector, and I look at him and think there have been 2 times in his career, Luka, that the Bills have been in a chaos situation at linebacker. Right now, this exact moment where Matt Milano goes down and you need somebody to step into that role, opportunity knocks. Balin Spector is not there to answer the door. Joe Andreessen is there to answer the door. Dorian Williams is there to answer the door. Deion Jones, who I think played well, there to answer the door. Balin Spector's out. The Kansas City Chiefs playoff game, Matt Milano out. Terrell Bernard out. Tyrell Dodson, one shoulder. AJ Klein played in that game because Balin Spector was also out. Balin Spector twice in his career has had opportunities where this team needed him. It's bad injury luck. I have a hard time at this point, Luka, seeing Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane looking at Joe Andreessen and Balin Spector side by side on roster cutdown day saying we can only keep one of these guys, and pointing to the guy that's let them down now twice versus the guy that got an opportunity and absolutely shined. Thanks for watching this clip from Bill's Chat. For the full episode, you can find the link in the description. While you're here, we would love it if you took the time to like and subscribe. That way you'll never miss when we upload new content to Bill's Chat on YouTube.